Welcome to Leadership Talk. My name is Deborah Kalita, and I'm a Rural Leadership Specialist with Manitoba Agriculture. Today's webinar on meeting minutes is part of a series of 5. Manitoba Agriculture industry leadership staff provide free webinars on building the organizational capacity within the agriculture sector, which results in high-performing organizations. This content is designed for informational purposes only. This information is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice. Organizations should consult their professional advisors related to specific situations. Topics covered in today's webinar include what are minutes, why they are important, best practices, board roles and responsibilities, taking good minutes, and tools for minute taking. The Gage Canadian Dictionary, 1998, defines minutes as a memorandum or written record, the official record of the proceedings at a meeting of a society, board, committee, etc. The fact sheet, Record Keeping for Non-Profit Organizations, from the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, describes minutes as an important part of an organization's records that documents actions that determine the fulfillment of legal duties, are a record of proceedings of a meeting, record how decisions are made, the resulting actions and persons responsible, and clarifies what actually happened in a meeting. The fact sheet also describes minutes as a tool for organization and board development that help orient new members to the organization, especially beneficial for organizations or committees experiencing a high turnover, are useful for evaluating the work of an organization. Minutes act as a corporate memory. They tell the story of the organization long after the board and directors have moved on, historical background for future reference. They provide a record of what members accomplished at the meeting, not a transcript of what was said. They act as an objective record provided to meeting participants related to how agreement was reached or disagreement arose, who was assigned specific tasks, and the date tasks are to be completed. To protect the organization and the people associated, it is wise for nonprofit organizations to keep meeting minutes with accurate records of all matters considered, motions, and approved actions. Under the Corporations Act, it is a legal requirement of all organizations registered as corporations to keep accurate minutes. Board-approved meeting minutes serve as a legal record of what actually occurred at a meeting, and they are admissible as evidence in court. Minutes protect the organization in these ways. They serve as proof of active and informed deliberation by the board and demonstrate courses of action considered. They document the decision-making process, including what was considered, what was authorized, and who was responsible for the action. They show that the board acted in the best interests of the organization, in good faith, and took reasonable steps to prevent harm, showing due diligence, duty of care, and duty of loyalty. They provide proof that directors acted in the best interests of the organization, even at the expense of self-interest, showing fiduciary duty. They provide proof that the board's actions were according to the proper procedures in the organization's constitution, bylaws, and policies and procedures. The fact sheet meeting minutes, best practices, is an excellent resource for organizations. It is available on our Manitoba Agriculture website. The link will be shared at the end of the webinar. All the members of the organization and the board, as well as the officers, have a role in ensuring that the organization has good minutes. The president provides the agenda in advance to allow the secretary time for preparation. The secretary may wish to use the agenda as a template for the handwritten or electronic minutes of the meeting. The president ensures the secretary has time to record the activities of the meeting, ensures motions are made and passed to adopt the minutes, and signs the approved minutes. Organization members submit written reports to the secretary as required. Some organizations ask that all reports be submitted in writing. This will speed up the meeting as the secretary does not have to record or summarize the report. They serve as minute checkers. Some organizations appoint minute checkers, particularly for annual meetings. More about this later in the webinar. All organization or board members have the responsibility to review the minutes for accuracy and for knowledge of the activities of the organization. They should point out errors or omissions and make and pass a motion to approve the minutes. The Secretary has the major role in ensuring accurate minutes. Their duties include circulates meeting notices, which may include an agenda, minutes of the last meeting, and committee reports, takes attendance, records the business of the meeting, circulates the minutes to the organization, and signs the approved minutes. In addition, the Secretary archives or stores the minutes as stated in the policies and procedures and has minutes available for reference at future meetings. Minute takers must be good listeners, effective communicators, critical thinkers, and excellent organizers. Minute takers should understand and be familiar with the organization and past minutes, have background knowledge on agenda topics, know meeting participants to ensure correct spelling and pronunciation of names, and sit next to the chairperson. This is for ease of communication and so the chair can ensure that the minute taker is keeping up. The Minute Taker's Guide by the University of Victoria defines these three types of minutes. Formal minutes support a meeting governed by the chair, according to parliamentary code or procedure. Semi-formal or action minutes are used by small groups who do not have a clearly defined operating structure. Semi-formal or informal minutes use a modified version of parliamentary procedure. They record what occurred at the meeting for absent members and for future reference. They summarize the action taken, the action planned, and people responsible, and the deadlines. Minutes are written in a narrative format in complete sentences. They include some background information, keeping in mind they are written solely for the benefit of people already familiar with the group and its activities. Action minutes are best suited for informal meetings where discussions lead to actions or decisions. They can be written in point form. You need to identify the person or persons responsible for future actions and set time limits. This webinar deals mainly with formal minutes. Regardless of the type of minutes used, there should always be an objective recording of what happened at a meeting. Minutes should be concise. A good example would be 1 to 2 pages of minutes for a 1-hour meeting. 5 pages would be too much for the same length of meeting. They should be accurate and complete and convey the tone of the meeting. The fact sheet, Record Keeping for Nonprofit Organizations from the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs gives these suggestions. Decide how the minutes will be recorded before the meeting. What format will be used, formal or point form. While written minutes are still most common, electronic methods are growing in popularity. If using computer technology, make sure policies exist to ensure no alteration or manipulation of content and that personal data contained in the minutes is kept private. This is especially important with home-based computers. Taping meetings and transcribing the minutes afterwards is another option. While the tape itself is not an official record, organizations still need a policy on how long to keep the tapes, who has access to them, and how to ensure no tampering. Avoid using abbreviations if possible, unless they are going to be understood by the membership in 5 to 10 years. Good minutes ensure everyone receives the same information at the same time. They reduce tension and conflicts, initiate problem solving or decision sharing, keep misunderstandings to a minimum, and outline work assignments. Minutes do not record word-for-word conversation and discussion, speakers' experiences, old material, redundant information, withdrawn motions, or personal comments. List only important facts mentioned in a discussion. The minutes should reflect what is done and not what is said. The format of the minutes should always follow the agenda. Be consistent in numbering. The opening section includes the name of the organization and type of meeting, date and time, as well as location. Under attendance, list all those in attendance in person, followed by any who are attending by telephone or electronically, if this is allowed by the bylaws of the organization. Then list any who have sent their regrets. Make a note whether quorum is reached. Some organizations will list what is required for quorum. Always make note of people arriving late or leaving early or just entering and exiting the meeting, as this may impact quorum. Under call to order, note who called the meeting to order and the time. In approval to agenda, there should be a motion, and it may also include a motion re-adjournment time. In the review of previous minutes, indicate if they were read or circulated, as well as any corrections and motion to adopt. In executive and committee reports, there may include a list of correspondence, or this may be attached to the agenda or as an appendix to the minutes. This will include the financial report, an update on budget, and any bill payment. You may also have reports from the vice chairperson, or special and standing committees. This will be followed by unfinished or old business, new business, and then the conclusion of the meeting, which should note when the next meeting will occur and the motion to adjourn and time. What to record? All the pros and cons to ideas in discussion, any new information, because past minutes tell history, all motions past and defeated, the results of motions, and the expected action from motions or discussions. When recording motions, there are two standard methods for recording. In option 1, you would write the name of the mover, followed by the name of the seconder, the motion, and carried. In option 2, the minutes will actually say moved by the name, seconded by the name, followed by the motion, and carried or defeated. In recording the results of votes, usually just record if the motion was carried or defeated. However, there are other options. You can record the number of votes for, against, or abstain, then carried or defeated. In a roll call vote, record how each attendee voted and then carried or defeated. In a secret ballot, the method should be noted in the minutes, then note the result of the vote. This may include numbers for, against, or spoiled. Your organization's bylaws may outline how votes are to be handled and noted in the minutes. Please note, if your organization uses secret ballot, there should always be a motion to destroy the ballot. At any time, an individual may request that the minutes show how they voted or that they abstained. Minutes should also note any members who excuse themselves from discussing or voting on an issue due to conflict of interest. The Gage Canadian Dictionary defines conflict of interest as a clash or opposition between the private interests and the public responsibilities of a person in a position of trust, such as a government official. Organization members have a fiduciary responsibility to act in good faith and in the best interests of the organization. They hold a position of trust. A conflict of interest could arise because of direct personal interest or those of close family members or friends. The organization's constitution and bylaws will usually describe what is considered a conflict of interest or how conflicts of interest are to be treated. It is best practice for any individual with a conflict of interest to excuse themselves from the meeting while discussion and voting occurs. As mentioned, this should be noted in the minutes as well as when the member returns to the meeting. This is to ensure that there is no appearance that the member in conflict may have influenced the decision. After the motion has passed, any actions required should be noted in the minutes, including who, what, and the time frame. For example, the committee will investigate the cost of replacing the roof and report to the next meeting. Be sure to list the names of the committee members and the chairperson. Minutes and in-camera sessions. This is a Latin phrase meaning in room. It designates a private meeting or portion of the meeting not open to the public. The minutes require a motion to go in camera, including the time, a motion to go out of camera, noting the time, and in camera is most often used for discussion purposes, particularly for topics that relate to human resources or legal issues. Discussion that occurs in camera is not noted on the minutes of the general meeting. The organization may have policies regarding minutes of in-camera sessions. Motions related to the in-camera discussion may be brought back to the general meeting for approval and are noted in the minutes. As noted earlier, some organizations appoint minute checkers. This may happen particularly for annual meetings or for meetings with a large number of people in attendance. These individuals will take notes during the meeting of key items such as who made motions. They review the minutes for accuracy before distribution and report any errors or omissions to the Secretary for corrections before the minutes are circulated to the members of the board. The rule of thumb for distribution is 24 hours for weekly meetings and 48 to 72 hours for monthly or quarterly meetings. Your organization's policies and procedures may outline the time frame for distribution. For example, some organizations choose to send out the minutes with the notice of the next meeting. Minutes of annual general meetings are often not circulated until the next annual general meeting and may be included in a meeting package with the agenda, financial report, and other reports. Remember, minutes are in draft until approved at the next meeting. For approval of minutes, the minutes are distributed to the members for review. This may be by hard copy or electronically. If minutes are distributed electronically, it is recommended that the document be saved as a PDF so that no changes may be inadvertently made. At the next meeting with quorum, the minutes may be read, or the chair will draw the attention of the members to a print copy that was circulated. Those in attendance are asked if there are any errors or omissions. Errors or omissions are corrected on the official copy of the minutes, and errors or omissions are noted in the minutes of the current meeting. A motion is made and passed to adopt the minutes as read, circulated, or corrected or amended. The President and Secretary should sign and date the copy of the minutes. The minutes are added to the official minute book or electronic file. These tools can assist you in taking minutes: the meeting minute checklist, a minute template, a motion template, and a report template. All of these resources will be emailed to registered webinar participants. Our website also has an agenda template. This helpful checklist is available on our Manitoba Agriculture website. The link will be shared at the end of the webinar. This minute template is developed from the agenda template on the Manitoba Agriculture website. The template you use should follow the agenda of the meeting, being sure that the numbering matches the agenda. A template can be used for either handwritten or electronic minutes. When handwriting, I would recommend that you set up your template, leaving an adequate amount of space to record motions or discussion related to the agenda topic, 2 to 5 centimeters of space. Use only one side of the paper. This leaves rooms for sections that require more notes. Using a template saves time, as you do not need to write or type each agenda item during the meeting. Motion templates save time because the Secretary is not trying to write down the motion, keep up with changes to wording, and document pertinent discussion at the same time. They reduce error as the mover and seconder write out the motion as they intended and note any changes. If your organization uses motion templates, they should be available at all meetings, are completed by the mover and seconder, then provided to the President to read for the vote, given to the Secretary to transcribe into the minutes after the meeting, and kept as part of the original notes of the meeting. Reports should be written out by the presenter and given to the Secretary in writing. This can be before the meeting, at the meeting, or immediately after. If this process is used, the report is not rewritten in the minutes. The report is attached to the minutes in appendix and is coded with the number of the agenda item for easy reference. The minutes will note that the report is attached. This saves time at the meeting, as the Secretary is not trying to jot down the report and make note of any discussion. Some organizations require reports to be submitted in advance, and then they are circulated to the membership prior to the meeting. This allows members the time to familiarize themselves with the content and be prepared to discuss any issues. In summary, minutes are a formal written document, an objective record of the proceedings of the meeting, record how decisions are made, the resulting actions and persons responsible, clarify what actually happened at a meeting, and are a tool for organization and board development. They act as corporate memory, are an objective record provided to meeting participants, are a legal requirement under the Corporations Act, are a legal record of what occurred, and protect the organization, board, and membership. Here are some of the resources referred to: the meeting minutes best practices, which is on our Manitoba Agriculture website, as well as the meeting minutes checklist and record keeping for nonprofit organizations. The meetings guidebook is also a handy reference. Stay connected by sending questions to leadership@gov.mb.ca. Visit our website at www.manitoba.ca/agriculture and click on Industry Leadership. Follow us on Twitter or watch recorded webinars on YouTube. As a result of your registered participation today, you will receive a follow-up email which will include an evaluation. When it arrives, please take a moment to click on the link and share your thoughts. The email will also include various resources we referenced in the webinar. I'd like to invite you to view the other webinars in our Spring 2017 series. Agendas: explore alternatives to the traditional meeting agenda format and discover ways to make meetings more efficient and effective. Alternative voting: examine the variety of ways your organization can vote with the use of technology. Do your bylaws include all the options? Board orientation process: discuss a process that will support new directors to prepare and serve on the board. Quiet leadership: explore the characteristics of introverts and extroverts. Involve both on your board to enhance communication and build a stronger organization. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? The webinars are 20 to 30 minutes in length, with the exception of quiet leadership, which is 60 minutes.